Well, hello, my beautiful book besties. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we are going to do a good old-fashioned book haul. So I will probably not, I know I will not be doing a lot of book hauls here on my channel this year. I have actually been cutting back on my book buying significantly because I have other financial responsibilities as an adult, and last year got just a little bit out of hand. If you're a content creator, you know that by the time tax season rolls around and you add up all of those book receipts, holy cow. But also, books are just getting so expensive. They're starting to do all of these sprayed edges and special editions. And I understand the increase of cost with books because it does take extra effort to put sprayed edges and all these different things. But can we just go back to the basics? Because I'm tired of book prices going up like crazy. Needless to say, I'm going to be using my library a lot more. I'm going to be utilizing audiobooks and telling myself I don't have to have the physical book to read a book and enjoy it. Sorry, I did not mean to go on that mini rant, but there's many reasons why I'm cutting back on book buying, and I've already been way more intentional about it starting this year, but I have not done a book haul since I think fall of last year. So these are the books I've accumulated since then, and honestly there's not as much as I thought. I think I have around 30 books, which is not too bad. As you can guess, most of these are fantasy books. A lot of them are special editions from book boxes that I still have. I do still have Fairy Loot, which I really love and I probably will never get rid of. I also want to apologize real quick for the crazy lighting that's probably about to happen in this video because I typically don't film at this hour of the day. Typically I film a lot earlier, but it's a weekday. I had time to sit down and do a quick book haul, so I thought why not? We actually got some snow, but then it was sunny out earlier and now it's cloudy again, so I apologize if the lighting in this video is not great, but hopefully you can at least see the books that I'm about to haul. But go ahead and make yourself a coffee. If you're like me, I'm always iced coffee year round, or if you want hot coffee or a tea, cozy on up and let's just get into the haul. So I had to kick us off with probably the most exciting thing that I have gotten most recently, and that is the new boxed edition of the Harry Potter books with the sprayed edges. My sweet cousin Rhiannon surprised me and sent me these from my wish list, but this is what the sprayed edges look like. I have not even opened this yet because I'm really scared because I want to keep them in pristine condition, but this came at the perfect time because I'm currently doing a read along over on Patreon for the whole series. This is what the spines look like, and then the covers are just the regular covers. The sprayed edges are really what sold me on wanting these. I am a true believer in that you cannot have too many editions of your favorite series, and for me that's Harry Potter. Okay, next I'm going to go through all the special editions I've acquired, which like I said, most of these are Fairy Loot or book box subscriptions. I think one of the most excited books I am so happy to have in my hands is this new edition from Fairy Loot of Wild Reverence. You guys know how much I love Rebecca Ross. I don't have time to show all the features of every single one of these books, but this is so pretty. I pre-ordered this immediately. I think this is the fifth edition of this book that I have now, and I have zero regrets because it was in my top 3 of 2025, and I have basically a whole shelf dedicated to her at this point. I will say my favorite part about this is how it matches Ruthless Vows and Divine Rivals. I love the clouds and the golden gray. So interesting how they decided to make these kind of more monochromatic. The next special edition that I'm so excited I have in my hands because I ended up really loving this book, and that is Graceless Heart by Isabella Bañez, and I think this one surprised me the most. Usually I can get a feel or like an idea of maybe the color palette that they're gonna do, but the blue for this is something that I was not expecting at all. But with the architecture and more of like the browns and the tans, I think the blue was the perfect pop of color to choose. Honestly, I think the naked hardcover is probably my favorite though. It's kind of like this floral flourished design with the gold foil on top, and the details on the end papers are just wow. It absolutely blows me away just looking at this every single time. Next is a book that I am astonished I have not read yet. I literally do not know what my problem is. I love this author, and I even have a special edition of Fallen City by Adrienne Young. I'm a huge sucker apparently for like monochromatic books. This is so beautiful. I don't know what's taking me so long to read it. Not only do I have the Fairy Loot edition, but the publisher sent me unexpectedly, I was absolutely baffled when this was on my front step, they sent me a finished copy of the regular edition with the sprayed edges. I know I'm gonna love it. She's one of my all-time favorite authors. This little alternative dust jacket is so cool. Next, I have a book that I read the regular edition of before I got this special edition in the mail, and I was like, I really don't know if I like that book. I'm probably gonna end up selling the special edition, but my book club read it for Patreon. After talking about it, I actually think I enjoyed this more than I thought I did, and so I'm really glad that I got this edition of The Everlasting by Alexi Haro. This I think is probably like my most favorite special edition I've ever gotten. Something about the colors and the sword, it's also kind of spooky, and it really portrays kind of the haunting story from the inside. This is just so good. This story is kind of like an epic tale told to you, so I think that's why I was having trouble with it in the beginning. I know I said I wasn't going to show you guys all the details of these books, but like this, it looks like an old time map or something. Next, I have my most recent fairy loot that I've gotten, and that is The Swan's Daughter by Roshni Chokshi. This is another one of those books that is just so unique in comparison to what they typically put out, and I can already tell, like, from the looks of this book, the fairy tale kind of vibes we're gonna get from the story. This also looks super wintry, which I was not expecting, especially on the inside end pages. I think I'm gonna end up trying it. If I'm ever in the mood for like a real romantasy, it kind of makes me want spring, but then it also reminds me of winter. So I feel like it's probably gonna be a really good transitional book. I haven't seen a ton of people talk about this, but it is really cute. It's called Violet Thistleway is Not a Villain Anymore. This book looks perfect for spring. I love how purple and cute this looks. I think this is more of like a cozy fantasy or like a cozy romantasy. It kind of reminds me of something that Sarah Beth Durst would write. It looks like we have maybe another greenhouse type of situation. This next book I actually meant to skip or cancel for the month because I wasn't sure what I was gonna think about it. I do really want to read something by this author, but I'm just not sure like where I want to start. Cold Wire by Chloe Gong, which is very interesting because typically I thought Fairy Loot only did fantasy, but this is more of like a dystopian kind of sci-fi. But the reason I'm holding on to this one is I really want to get more into dystopian books. As much as I love The Hunger Games, I never read dystopian books. So I really think that's kind of more of a genre I want to explore this year, and this sounds like the perfect mix of Divergent mixed with like Ready Player One at an academy. I also love the naked hardcover of this, and the color palette that was chosen just looks super fun. It's giving me nostalgic vibes. Next is a beautiful edition of one of my favorite Studio Ghibli stories, and I think this is just like a regular special edition. It was sold out on Amazon for a while, but I think you can get it now again. But this is from my beautiful patron friend Amber, and it is Howl's Moving Castle. I am growing kind of like a Studio Ghibli special edition shelf. I'm just having a good time collecting little trinkets and special editions like this one. I read this book quite a while, I think like 5 or 6 years ago. I really enjoyed it, and honestly I love the movie even more. But the naked hardcover says Hal's quite heartless, you know. We have Calcifer, and then also they're just standing in the doorway of the moving castle, and I think this is just so cute and so heartfelt. We're just gonna continue on with the fantasy books. These aren't necessarily special editions, but I do promise I have other books at the end of this video that aren't just fantasy. I just love fantasy. I can't help myself. But one of the newer fantasy releases that I'm not exactly seeing a ton of people talk about, but this really has caught my eye. It is the Elsewhere Express by Samantha Soto. How pretty this is, and the end pages are coloring pages. Is that not the coolest thing you've ever seen? I probably will not be coloring in this, but I think that is such a unique idea. I know this is going to be a hard-hitting book. I guess our main character's brother passed away, and she's trying to kind of like find her purpose in life. So I think this is going to be really fun, but probably make me cry. And then we have The Poet Empress, which was not on my radar recently for any reason until a lot of people started talking about it. I do know at the beginning of this, there's quite a few like content warnings. It's kind of hard to read. I feel like some some people have said that they considered DNFing, but they were super glad when they pushed through. Don't know much about this at all, but it's a fantasy and I gotta be in the know. How to write a love poem for someone I hated so deeply with every drop of blood in my veins. How to do it so convincingly that even the ancestors believed it. I'm very intrigued by what this poetry magic is. And then I also have another book, same case scenario, where this wasn't really on my radar until a lot of people whose reading taste I have very similar to were saying that this was just so incredible. And I haven't read a Mary Lou or Marie Lou book in a very long time. I think back when she wrote Warcross or Legend, one of those two older young adult series. I also think this book is supposed to be more dystopian, which again is something that I want to get more into this year. So I'm very interested to see kind of how her writing has evolved, and who knows, maybe this could end up on my favorites list of the year. And then I have two backlisted books by one of my favorite authors. I have two books by Kristen Cicerelli. I have The Last Name Sarah and A Dark Forgetting. I believe The Last Name Sarah was her first trilogy that she came out with, and then A Dark Forgetting. This is so pretty. These peachy orange edges with the beautiful florals on the front. It says an epic love story of a magical girl, the boy she left behind, and a deadly curse. Looks like there's a forest potentially. There's gorgeous writing. Anything she writes I will read. And then this one is about a dragon slayer. This is a must. I already have this queued up for my February TBR with my Libby app, and I'm just really excited to see where she started, where she came from. And then we have The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson. This book has been everywhere. I've been very intimidated by it because adult fantasy just intimidates me in general, but this book apparently has such a good type of like academic competition that some people have said reminds them of Harry Potter, and I'm like, whoa, that is big shoes to fill. So I was in Barnes & Noble, decided to sit down and read the first couple pages of this book, and yeah, I have a feeling I'm really going to be into this one. I feel like the hefty books, the bigger, the better, and I love spending as much time with characters as I can. If you tell me there's a deadly competition in a book, I will more than likely pick it up. The next book is one that I just have FOMO. This was not on my radar at all, once again, until I started seeing this on everybody's favorites list of the year. And I was like, whoa, clearly I need to know what's happening in this book. And that is Blood Over Brighthaven. I think this is about a girl who goes into like this prestigious order of mages and tries to infiltrate or like unravel a secret or a conspiracy or something like that. But this typewriter, for whatever reason, is making me think of Divine Rivals, which makes me want to read it even more. Another book that I really wanted to add to my collection, because if you've been here any amount of time, you know that I love A Study in Drowning, and this is the novella, an archive of romance that I'm so happy that Ava Reid came out with, because while Ethereal Dreaming was good, it was very much Preston's book, and we did not get a whole lot of the couple together or as much as I wanted, but apparently this is just a whole giant book of mixed media. I mean, look at these end pages. This is so gothic, it's so academic. I am obsessed with this already. I'm definitely treating this as kind of like a graphic novel or short story, as kind of like a palette cleanser maybe for in between some long fantasy books, because this just looks really fun. I can only imagine how much work went into creating this. Next, I have a series that is very, very long, that I have been scared of for a very, very long time, although I have seen it around. I think this was published in like 2013. I will say I can never find this in stores though, so when I saw this at Barnes, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna finally pick this up. It is Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. I'm not gonna lie, I thought this was a male author the whole time, and I'm not saying that was putting me off from picking it up, but I was very pleasantly surprised to see that this is a lady, I think maybe in her 60s, that wrote this series. It really does not give very much about the synopsis at all, but this is constantly on YouTube, constantly in my Bookstagram feed. I feel like these books just get bigger and bigger as the series goes on, but George R.R. Martin himself even blurbed it, so it must be worth a try. Okay, next is a book that I got from a publisher. This was not on my radar at all, but look at how cute this character artwork is. I was like, I don't know what this is, but I absolutely need to read this book now. It is called A Curious Kind of Magic, and I think this is more of like a cozy cozy young adult fantasy. Howl's Moving Castle meets Little Thieves in this cozy fantasy about the teenage owner of a mostly fake, magical curiosity shop and a girl cursed to turn everything she touches into magic. I don't think I've read a young adult cozy fantasy. I think a lot of them are more adult, and I do have a friend that read this and said it is absolutely underhyped. I think you would really love it. And then I have Break Wide the Sea by Sarah Holland. This looks very piratey. It looks really great for summer. I've never read anything by this author before, but it sounds really fun. This was also blurbed by Rebecca Ross, who said, a spellbinding nautical tale of love, grief, and decisions that make us human, with lyrical writing that is as memorizing as the tides. Any story will not only hold your heart captive and steal your breath, you'll be thinking of it long after that devastating last line. I don't know about you, but now I want to know what that last line is. And a couple cozy fantasy that I've gotten recently, again, trying to build my cozy fantasy shelf and just figure out which author that I do like. One that I do know that I'm obsessed with is Travis Baldree, Brigands and Bread Knives. I've heard this one is a little more high stakes than his other books, and I believe it comes after Legends and Lattes. I think it follows the little mouse that owns the bookstore in the previous book. Travis Baldree is an amazing narrator, and this was kind of like my first introduction to cozy fantasy. I loved Legends and Lattes, so I definitely have Travis Baldree to thank for that. And then I have, I believe, the third in the series, and I have not even started this yet, but thank you to the publisher for providing me with this whole series. That is the Dragon Shop, the Baby Dragon Shop bookshop for fans of Legends and Lattes and the Spell Shop, with a small town setting bookshop and baby dragons. This looks very spring, and I definitely need to get on this series. I've heard it's really good, it's really fun. Okay, next I have a few other couple random books that are from publishers or I bought, and I'm very excited about all of these. As you can tell, I'm definitely trying to curate my fantasy shelves and read a lot of fantasy this year, but I do have a couple other books that I really want to read that I'm very excited about. The first one being the conclusion to the Sarah Adams series, In Your Dreams. I still have not read this. I think it came out at the end of December. I really love Sarah Adams. She writes small town, swoon-worthy, like very cute, relatable characters. We're following Madison Walker, and she is the chef of the 3 sisters. Is it 4 sisters? I'm excited to finish up this series, and I will probably read just about anything that she writes. Next, I have this stunningly bright, beautiful hot pink book called A Sociopath's Guide to a Successful Marriage by M.K. Oliver. This book is giving very Finley Donovan vibes. It already looks super quirky and super fun. I think this book starts out with like a home invasion, and the woman kills the guy and she has to hide the body, and then she has to host a birthday party for her daughter or something a couple hours later, and it just sounds very chaotic. Sometimes you just want to pick up like a really funny, entertaining, unbelievable kind of like mystery suspense thriller. I think when I have some free time, I'm gonna read the first couple chapters because I really miss being in the Finley Donovan world, and I need to catch up on that series, but once I do, I'm definitely gonna try this one. I have a book by Lisa Jewell that is not gonna be releasing until June. Like, what? I'm so excited to read this. It's called It Could Have Been Her. She writes more domestic thrillers, but still leaves enough suspense and mystery for me to stay intrigued. A lost dog, a missing woman, a family hiding dark secrets, and the gut-wrenching realization it could have been her. So yes, I am going to be reading this one very, very soon. And then we have Theo of Golden by Alan Levi, which I knew nothing about until I saw my sister, of all people, reading it, and I get this copy and I was like, that's very interesting. I have not seen a lot about this book. I was gonna get rid of it, and now it's everywhere. Don't know anything about it. It says, one spring morning, a stranger arrives in the small southern city of Golden. No one knows where he has come from or why. Never heard of this author. This book is kind of blowing up. Seems more literary, hard-hitting. I know my sister said that this story really stuck with her. I've even heard that there's kind of like some Christian themes in it, so I think that would be a really good book club discussion or even a buddy read. Next, I have a book that I really was not that interested in at all until they made an adaptation, and that is Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. The actors in the adaptation definitely have me intrigued. So this is very short, and it just so happens that my in-person book club chose this for their choice for February. It's set in England in 1580. I know this is more like literary kind of chick lit. I think there's a lot of talk about motherhood. It's definitely out of my comfort zone. I am a little bit scared, but I think it could end up being really good. Speaking of Christian fiction, one series that is around literally everywhere that I have not stopped seeing, maybe it's because she's come out with maybe the last in the series or the next in the series, but this is called the Timeless series by Gabrielle Meyer, When the Day Comes. This is book number 1. I'm very excited to check it out. It's like a historical time travel book, but talks of faith. It has been a while since I've read some really good Christian fiction, so even though I'm skeptical about this being in the historical time period, I am excited to see maybe like the time travel fantasy elements that are included, but I've heard really good things, and I feel like this is just going to be a breath of fresh air. And then I have number 3 in the Lightfall graphic novel series called The Dark Times. I have not dove into this series in a while. This is like my favorite graphic novel series of all time. It is so precious. The anxiety representation is so sweet, and the illustrations are so detailed and thought out. I love the fantasy elements, especially the creatures that are in this book. It is middle grade, but I feel like there's themes for even adults to enjoy, and it's just a really good time. There's a lot of depth in this story for being a graphic novel. I haven't been too into graphic novels lately, but this is one series that I want to finish. As you can tell, it is getting a lot sunnier out now that we are just ending this video, but that's okay. We're on our last book. This is a Christian nonfiction called Where Prayer Becomes Real: How Honesty with God Transforms Your Soul by Kyle Strobel and John Coe. This is a book that my friend Kendall got me for my birthday because she's been reading it and said it's absolutely changing her life and the way she talks to God, the way she prays. And I feel like prayer is something I could specifically work on, but I feel like a lot of us could work on. Yes, I talk to God throughout the day, but I feel like just dedicating that time and strengthening that relationship is so important and something that has always been a weakness for me. So I'm very excited to see how this transforms kind of my mindset. Some of the chapter titles are What If a Wandering Mind is a Gift? What if prayer can be a place to avoid God? What if prayer doesn't meet my expectations? What if God wants my heart of sin and pain? A lot of great topics here that I think are going to be explored, and I'm planning to hopefully read this for the month of March. Well, friends, thank you for clicking on this video and watching. It was definitely more of an impromptu video that I didn't exactly plan, but I have had all of these books on my TBR cart that have needed to be put and stored on my actual bookshelves, and until I actually did a book haul, I felt like I couldn't put them on my shelves. So I was like, let's just go ahead and do a book haul. But like I said, I probably won't be doing a lot of these this year because I'm cutting way back. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you found a new book recommendation or maybe a new special edition you didn't know was out that you want to explore. I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.